In line with the tradition of hosting public lecture at every anniversary celebrations, the management of Realnews, a foremost online magazine, brought the creme de la creme of the society together on Tuesday, 7th November 2023. Dignitaries from governments, corporate establishments, and those that matter in the fourth estate of the realm made their way to Sheraton Hotel and Towers for the 11th year anniversary celebrations. After the opening formalities and few recognition, the delectable and hardworking publisher, Ms. Maureen Chigbo, delivered a welcome address which was closely followed with that of the chairman, Mr. Mohammed Bello Koko, ably represented by Durowaye Ayodele.
I am so delighted to welcome you all to the 11th anniversary lecture series of Real News Magazine Online. We appreciate your sacrifice and support, especially at this precarious time when the world is in a frenzy to round up the activities of the year. The anniversary lecture series is one of the ways Real News contributes to nation building and development by providing a forum for policy change-oriented discussions by professionals, scholars, technocrats, and decision makers on the way forward for our great nation and Africa in general. The lecture series began in 2014 and focused on elections, economy, security, challenges of leadership in Africa, Africa's political transition in oil and gas, unfolding integration of African market, and drug abuses. We are working on several manuscripts that require sponsors for publications. These are some of the ways we raise money for our free source online publication with investigative journalism as our first love.
The issue of illicit fund flow, also known as money laundering, into or out of the African continent should actually be broadly seen as two sides of the same coin because of the impact of these unwholesome practices or menace to the socio-economic development of the continent.
In his speech on the use of ICT in curbing financial crimes, the special guest of honor and the managing director of NCC, Mr. Aminu Meida, provided some nuggets to the audience. This was delivered by Mr. Ruben Moka, the Director, Public Affairs Department.
Financial crimes refer to criminal activities that involve transactions, abuse, misuse, and deception, or manipulation of financial systems for personal gain. They include a wide range of offenses such as insider abuse, money laundering, terrorism financing, proliferation of financing, embezzlement, fraud, e-fraud, banking, securities, and corporate intellectual property abuse, all that. These crimes do not only have a huge economic and social impact, but can also be linked to violent crimes that lead to loss of lives.
IFF, which is the illicit funds transfer, it poses a huge challenge to the political, economic security around the world, particularly to developing countries. Corruption, organized crime, illegal exploitation of natural resources, fraud in international trade, tax evasions are all harmful as a diversion of money from public priorities. If you see what is even happening around Boko Haram, the mining activities, you see that you start wondering how do they take their money outside this country? Because obviously most of those mineral resources are not being paid in Naira. So transfer illicit transactions is very, very, very harmful to our economy, one way or the other, because it drives us of the opportunity to have the tax, to have orderliness around the natural resources that we have.
Well, Marina, thank you for this very topical issue. I'm sure I'll be reading it from various journalists that are here. I like to listen to things like this because that's a part of nation building.
The main crux of the day was the anniversary lecture on the threat of illicit funds flow to the African economy. In his delivery, Mr. Edwin Harris Jr., Director General, ECOWAS Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, Djaba, Senegal. Besides defining the topic and asking some rhetorical questions, the presentation elicited a lot of reaction from the audience after two erudite scholars discussed the topic.
I would first like to acknowledge the key role Real News Magazine and other media houses are playing, especially in exposing illicit financial flows and the underlying criminal activities, and also commend their work and contribution to the development of Nigeria and indeed the region of West Africa and the African continent in general. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, illicit financial flows are global phenomena. They do not respect borders. They undermine global social, political, economic security, and have become a serious threat to the attainment of development agenda, particularly in Africa. Consequently, these issues have moved into the forefront of Africa's agenda in recent years and will continue to shape the thinking about development in the coming years. I am pleased and elated that Real News magazine has chosen to focus on this matter from an African perspective during this year's anniversary. I'm pleased that Real News have focused on this matter from the African perspective during this anniversary. This is appropriate and timely because our continent is one where illicit financial flows pose a significant threat to the development agenda of our country. I strongly believe that this event will boost the sense of urgency that we have about the threats of illicit financial flows and raise our collective response against such flows.
The duo of Kayode Adedayo and Felix Obiamalu provided more insight to elicit overall robust interaction with the guests and participants.
We must also look at the collaborators of the Africans that has moved our money.
The issue of combating IFF and other financial crimes in today's Nigeria and the world is becoming a bit more difficult because the world has gone fintech. It takes a second to dissipate funds. It takes a second to consummate a transaction. So if you are not automated, you cannot combat financial crimes in modern world.
When General Sani Abacha was ruling Nigeria, we remember that he blocked the borders against the West. You know, one of his first addresses was that it is our local problem, we'll deal with it ourselves.
When you find out these ones, why do you not name them and shame them? Why are you pampering these crooks and thieves?
How do we debunk the myth that gives us the opinion, the impression that it's only the poor, the downtrodden, that are mostly punished?
Where is the place of FIA, Freedom of Information Act? What is the depth of investigative journalism in Nigeria? Over time, we spent close to 10 years prosecuting a particular matter. And in most cases, energies, time, and resources are depleted.
The high point of the event was the induction of 6 distinguished men into the Real News Hall of Fame, with one of them responding on behalf of others.
On behalf of all the inductees, I would like to thank the management of Real News magazine for this honor and to assure that all members will live according to the tenets of this high office.
The ever-elated publisher of Real News, Ms. Maureen Chigbo, could not hide her joy in a vote of thanks.
My job is very simple: to thank all of you for doing a good job, for coming here, for staying till the end.
In our interaction with some selected guests, they shared their takeaways from the event with us.
Consciousness about financial crimes is growing, at least in this forum. We've had a lot of dimensions about financial crimes and the solutions being taken to resolve it or mitigate it or reduce it minimally.
The press are aware, and going forward, they will bring this issue to the public discourse in a more informed and unique way than it was. So I'm impressed that the press is aggressive and want to know more to assist the country in the fight against illicit financial flow.
I'm overwhelmed, and I give all glory to God for making it possible for this event to hold today, for bringing all these colorful people from all walks of life to be here, to have a robust conversation on how to move the nation forward by checking or curbing illicit financial trade. So I'm so happy, and I thank all our supporters, all the organizations that have helped us to host this event. May God bless them.
We wish Real News more success in their future endeavor.